Bush. Not talking about him.
No, Vandenberg.
You mean Vandenberg? You mean the base?
The MJ-12 guy.
Yeah, I forget his name.
I forget his name. Anyway, he had a crush on my mom. And he was at the house all the time. And
Okay.
Jimmy Doolittle was at the house all the time because Jimmy Doolittle lived down on 3rd Street. And, of course, Jimmy Doolittle was my source for the fact that MJ-12 existed in the first place. Because when Jamie Chandra and Bill, what's his name? Bill Moore first started coming out with the Eisenhower papers, the big question was, is MJ-12 real? And I got my mom to ask Jimmy Doolittle, who was then retired and living in Monterey, and very, very close to Jimmy and his wife Jo, who had already passed away, to ask you if MJ-12 existed. And he said, Moya, yes, Moya, it does, but I can't say anything more about it. So that's when I started realizing that, yes, those Eisenhower papers may have been retyped, but they contain the truth.
Absolutely. Well, okay. In terms of what it is you know and what it is you know about MJ-12 or what they're calling themselves Scion now, are you aware of any specific operations that they have going on that you might be able to share with us?
No, I heard I listened to or watched about 34 hours of tapes that somebody made of Dan Burrish, and he told us some projects that they did, some that were really stupid, and but other than that, no, I don't know what MJ-12 is up to. Or
how did you get a hold of seeing those tapes?
The guy brought them over to my house.
Oh, really?
They were all from an interview, from a gigantic or a long-term interview that they were going to do something with. And
yeah, was it the guy? Was it that guy Ron who brought it over?
Ron, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
what do you think about him? You think he's working with MJ-12?
I don't know. Ron and I have been friends for many years. He came here maybe 15 years ago, and I wasn't too interested in talking about the issue then because I was busy doing other stuff. And he said, well, and I was headed towards, I was going to drop off some stuff at the dump here. And I said, well, if you want to ride along with me, maybe we'll talk. He said, okay. So he rode along and we talked, and then we became friends, and he was really interested in it. And then somehow he got involved with Dan Burrish, and I got to filming all that stuff, and he'd bring it over to my house and show me the latest one that he got. Now, the Dan Burrish story, I don't know what is true. Dan Burrish says a lot of things that don't match up. The one thing I am sure is that Dan Burrish did work at SFAR. He did work for the government. I don't believe George Knapp believes that he couldn't find any evidence, but that doesn't mean he didn't work up there. But I personally believe that Dan Burrish worked up there. But there was also one point in his life where they erased his memory and put a new memory in there. And so the stuff now that he's coming up with, we don't know whether to believe it or not. And I haven't talked to Ron in quite a few months.
Okay. What about Bob Lazar? Because, you have a long relationship going back with Bob Lazar, and I understand last time we were in contact, which was maybe a year or more ago, you were telling me that he had been brought back to work for them. Is that right?
Right. Yeah. He, when he came to my birthday, my 65th birthday here, which was December 4th, 2000 and whatever. And, when he showed up, he brought his, a new ID for LANL. And, so I said, you're back at work? And he said, yeah. And I said, did they give you any special instructions? And he said, no, but there was one funny deal is when they were sitting at the table briefing him, they looked at him and he said, now, Bob, you're not going to give us any more trouble, are you? And we all had a good laugh over that.
Yeah, but so he's basically kind of gone underground, so to speak, hasn't he?
Yeah, he runs nuclear scientific, whatever that company is, and he moved it to a place in Michigan, and he's the second or third largest distributor of scientific supplies to colleges and universities and schools around the world. It's just enormous what he's been able to build, and how he fits that in with whatever he's got to do with LANL, I don't know. And,
and LANL saying Los Alamos, right?
Yeah, Los Alamos National Laboratories, right?
Okay, and are you aware of that there is a time machine under in Los Alamos?
Oh, what, a time machine?
Yeah.
No, I think it's
a time travel device.
I think it's at S4.
You think it's at S4?
Yeah, I think they gave it to him and they put it there, and you can look backwards and forwards in time.
Well, okay. Well, that's a little more like Looking Glass, what you're talking about. What I'm talking about is what, I don't know if you remember the Chinese, I think he was a physicist or something that was brought up in charges, a while back. He worked for, Los Alamos.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And my understanding was that he was involved in that research and they just wanted to shut him down so that he didn't, get any farther than he was. Yeah, and he was working at Los.
You know more about it than I then.
Okay, I just wondered if you might have heard anything along those lines.
No, I didn't know that Chinese guy was involved in the time machine thing.
Oh, you didn't? Okay. We have had other information about that. I mean, what is it? Do you know anything about time travel? Have you been, party to any information in that regard?
Yeah, well, I have a piece of paper that Bob showed me how both of them work, traveling forward time and traveling backward in time, and he had a little drawing of how to do it. And he said that they had solved the paradox of if you go back in time and kill your father, will you still be here? And the answer is yes, because when you kill your father, you start a different timeline. And it goes on from there.
Right. There's multiple timelines. So apparently it sounds to me as though you haven't really gotten any new information in regard to what's happening in the future here. Have you, or,
What's happening in the future where?
Here on the planet, on Earth.
No new information. The only information I have is 2012 is all BS. Nothing's going to happen. It'll be the same wars going on, same starvation, same fights, same taxes. Everything will be the same. There will be no planet Nibiru or Planet X or any other planet coming by and causing a lot of problems. Just nothing like that.
Okay. Do you feel like you're as sort of, getting as much information coming at you as you used to do, or do you think that your life circumstances have kind of, insulated you somewhat from new information? What do you think about that?
I don't know. I don't seem to get too much information. As I told you before, 1990 is when the government figured out how to keep a secret, and I think they do it with mind control. But, guys used to walk up to my gate and tell me stuff, guys that worked at Nellis, and guys used to come to my door and tell me stuff. But now, nothing like that ever happens, and they've really been able to keep a secret.